Hello everyone and welcome to the DeHart house. My name is Alicia and I'm your host of this crafty channel here on YouTube. Today is Saturday, January 11th. It's the second Saturday out of the year. And I already have some finished objects for the year. In fact, I have two of them. Now, you might notice that the sound is a little bit different. I did purchase a microphone and I'm trying it out to get more consistent and improved quality in the audio. So if there's any feedback you can provide in the comments about whether it's good, bad, too much of this, too little of that, that would really help me to suss out how this is being heard on your end versus my end and just work on making improvements there. So my first finished object, and I finished this on, I think it was last Saturday or Sunday, is a pair of shorty socks. And I cast these on at the end of December, somewhere in those last few days of December. It was after Christmas. And I worked on them when we were driving to see family and all that good stuff. So they are finished. I knit this out of Knit Picks Felici yarn in the color Brittle. And I'm calling these my corn on the cob socks because I feel like with the yellow color and this texture stitch that I did, it kind of looks like corn on the cob. And I find that hilarious. So that's what I'm calling them. I used, I have this color in two 50-gram balls. I only used one ball to make this pair. And when I weighed the socks, I used 47 grams. I have a little bit of the yarn left over, and I have another 50-gram ball still. I knit this how I usually knit my socks. I knit my socks cuffed down. I really like a German twisted cast on. I think it's got just the right amount of stretch to it. I did 1x1 ribbing for 20 rounds, I think. And then I immediately did the heel flap after that and went into just the foot of the sock and then a standard toe. And I didn't do the texture on the toe portion. Just did stockinette and stockinette stitch on the bottom of the foot. So yeah, they've been blocked, as you can tell. They look like really nice socks in sock shape. And so now that I've shown them to you, I'll be able to wear them. My other finished project is actually a spinning project. So I finished a skein of yarn. It is a project that I started in late November during the power outage that we had. So I'm in the Seattle area of Washington State, and there was a really bad storm that came in the week before Thanksgiving, and it knocked out power for a lot of people in the region. We specifically were without power at 3 days at our home. Some people it was a day. For some folks it was a whole week. It was a mad scramble to try to get everyone power again. But yeah, I had started a spinning project during that time, and I did finally finish it. I needed to spin a little bit more on the second single and then ply the two singles together. So that's what I did. It's so pretty. So the fiber is one that was thrown in as an extra when I went and purchased my drum carder. The individual I purchased it from, she was purging a lot of things from her stash, and she had found some fiber and wanted to throw it in. And this was one of the items, was this fiber. This is from Blue Barn. I have the little tag right here. This is from Blue Barn Fiber Arts. And there wasn't information on the packaging about what kind of fiber this is with the content, but it was prepared in Rolags. So I spun this from Rolags. It's a 2-ply yarn, and I've soaked it, I've dried it, I've wrung it out and slapped it and did all of those wonderful things to get the twist to settle. And that's as far as I've gotten. So I need to measure how many yards are here and get an idea of whether this is a DK, sport, fingering. It's somewhere in there. And then I'm going to cast on with this. I want to knit a hat out of this, and since I have no idea what kind of fibers are in here, I'm going to assume that this should not be thrown in a washing machine in case there are non-superwash fibers in here. And I can tell that the yellow, it seems very much like that was silk, and the rest of it was some kind of wool. And yeah, it's got yellow and blue and green and purple, and it's just fantastic. So I'm excited to knit with this. In total, I have 66 grams in this skein, and I'm just twisting it back up again. I'm not sure on the yards. Like I said, I will use my counting tool. I have a tool that you thread the yarn through it and it will count how many meters, and then I just convert it to yards. So I will find out how much I have here, and I'm pretty confident I have enough to make a hat out of this. Certainly not something as big as a double layered hat, but a single layered hat I think I can definitely get away with out of this yarn. Oh, and I should say I spun that on my non-electric spinning wheel, because like I said, I started that project in a power outage. So I used my treadle wheel. I have an Ashford traditional, and then I ran out of bobbins. All my bobbins are full of stuff. So I used my electric spinning wheel to ply it, and I have an electric eel wheel Nano 2, and I use that to ply the 2 plies together. So after I finished the corn on the cob socks, I started another pair the next day. I have been walking on the treadmill in the house, and when I'm walking on the treadmill, I don't want to get bored, because if I get bored, then I will want to get off the treadmill. So I've been, I knit on the corn on the cob socks on the treadmill as well. But then I cast on another pair of socks. And yes, this one's also yellow. Yellow is actually my favorite color, and I don't wear it very often or use it very often. So I don't know. This has just been a very like yellow, the color yellow calls to me this season and in this new year. It makes me very happy. So this yarn is also from Knit Picks. This is in their Felicini line, which is the same yarn as Felici, but the stripes are thinner. And this colorway is Lemon Bar. And I like it. This is because of the way the striping sequence is, even if you reverse the order, you get the same thing. So that's kind of fun. I didn't really realize that's how it would be when I purchased it. I got it because it was on sale and I liked the colors, so I bought it. But yeah, that was a fun surprise. So this is the first sock, and when I make the second sock, I don't know if I'm going to try to line it up so the stripes are the same, or if I'll try to have it like start with the yellow instead of the green. I'll probably try to make a match. We'll see what I end up doing. But I'm knitting these on US size 0 needles. Yep, US size 0 needles. These socks are going to be for me. I'm using 64 stitches. I did 1x1 ribbing for 20 rounds, and I decided because of the striping, I would just do a plain stockinette sock. No texture or patterning to it. I'm going to make this a longer sock and not a shorty sock, so I'll be able to wear it in boots and tennis shoes and all that good stuff. So yeah, this is a 100-gram ball, and so I will knit one sock, and then I will knit the second sock, and I'm sure I will have some left over because I never use a full 100 grams to knit socks for myself. I do like knitting socks. They're super transportable. I've got the patterning memorized. It's just very easy to pick it up wherever and whenever and work on socks. But I've laid out a bingo card for 2025 to help guide my making for the year. And I don't just want to be knitting socks. I want to be creating other things. So with my bingo card in mind, I decided to start a crochet sweater because one of the squares in the bingo card is crochet. So I had picked out this pattern last year and didn't really have time to make it. So I'm really happy I've started it this year. I had purchased the yarn for it, I had purchased the pattern, and I was all ready to go. I just never got around to it. So I think I cast this on January 2nd, if I remember correctly. And the yarn that I'm using is yarn that I purchased from Hobbii, Hobbii, and it's We Love Yarn in a mega ball. It is definitely a mega ball. It's quite large. This is a beautiful, vibrant teal blue. The color on the tag says number 412. When I went on Ravelry to start this project, it actually had color names with it. So this is Peacock, which totally makes sense for this colorway. It is very much a peacock blue. I'm excited. Ravelry has this listed as a worsted weight yarn, but on the tag, it's been designated with a 3, which is more of a DK sport weight, which is what the pattern calls for. I did do a gauge swatch. I think this is the first time in my life I have ever gauge swatched with crochet. So that was fun. But yeah, I didn't meet gauge with the hook size in the pattern. I did have to go down a hook size, which is fine. I need to do that with my knitting as well, as I usually end up needing to go down a size. And so that's not a big deal. So I'm pretty much getting gauge. I'm close enough to getting gauge that this is going to work out fine. So I'm using it's not a fancy crochet hook. It doesn't have any ergonomic stuff on it. I think I bought this at Walmart or something when I was really young. I've had these crochet hooks since I was a teenager. But I prefer the ones that have the pointy, it's a pointy top on it, and it's not flat, it's rounded. Anyway, I'm using a size I, which is a 5.5 millimeter crochet hook. Excuse me. And I've made some really good progress. So it is I should tell you the name of the pattern. It is the Cosmopolitan Sweater. It is by Anna Maria, and I think I was clicking on Ravelry and it said it was published in Crochet Highway Designs, which is maybe Anna Maria's kind of business name on Ravelry. It is a paid for pattern, like I said, so I'm not going to give away any of the secret sauce, but it's a bottom-up construction, and the sweater features not only this beautiful texture stitch over the whole piece, but it has a bat wing construction for the sleeves. So, oh, don't hit the microphone. I'm gonna have to practice that. So I started at the bottom, and it is increasing out for the batwing sleeves. So every other row, this is getting wider and wider and wider. It is a joy to work on. It did take me a few repeats to understand what was going on here with the patterning stitch. I've finally fallen into a good routine here. I did count my stitches partway through here to see that I was on track. I was off a little bit, so I had too many stitches too quickly. So I did a little bit of finagling to do some decreases and get back to the proper stitch count. And I am happy to say that it's hard to see that in the edging. I mean, if you look really hard, you can probably figure out where it is, but I think it's going to be okay when I put the garment together. So this is the front panel that I'm working on, and then I'll have to make the back panel, and that's as far as I've read in the patterns. Yeah, it's beautiful. One of the pattern pictures that she has is in a blue very similar to this. Obviously, I found that very inspiring and just copied that. So, oh, but look at that color. I have blue eyes and blonde hair, and colors like this really complement my skin tone and everything. So, I'm excited to have a rather large sweater with the bat wings in this color. I put this marker, I took a photograph and posted it on Instagram, and then I went and put this marker on here so I could see my progress from that point, because I'm definitely far enough along in here that every time I do a row and I look at the work, it seems like I didn't do anything. And having a little progress keeper on there so I can see that, oh, I have built up some extra inches on here, it just helps keep me motivated to want to work on this some more. So yeah, I'm really enjoying this. I haven't crocheted a garment in a while, so it's fun to flex those different muscles and use a different skill set, and it's bringing me a lot of joy. Another square in my bingo card has to do with cross stitch. So I like to cross stitch, and I have a project that I started. I think I started it last year, and I was like, oh, this is going to be the year that I finally do a cross stitch pattern in a year. And I did not. So I put a cross stitch square on my bingo card, and I pulled that cross stitch project out of its hiding spot in the craft room where it was buried, where I set it down and never picked it up again. And I started working on it because I was like, if you just start right away, and just even if you only work on it once a week or once every couple of weeks, it's still making progress toward the goal. And I was really enjoying it. It was quite fun. So you won't know where I was before, but here's what I have going on. I'll tell you about the pattern and stuff, but yeah, I have this decent size 8 cloth, cross stitch cloth. It's not the pure white variety. I went for one that's got a little bit of variegation on it. And I'm cross stitching a landscape pattern. This is not freehand. I am following a pattern for sure. And I currently have this beautiful plum color on the go. And so what I did was I filled in this part of this tree, and I had a little bit of this part of the sky, so I filled in the rest of the sky. And then I picked up the purple and I finished the top of the little tree here, and now I'm working down farther. And yeah, I'm basically just going to work my way around this thing. So the pattern that I'm using, I will put a picture on the screen. It's a pattern I purchased off of Etsy quite a few years ago at this point. So I started the project last year, but I had purchased the pattern years before that, and it's just been sitting in my email inbox. So it's Grand Teton National Park by Awesome Pattern Studio. Again, I bought that off of Etsy. The pattern number is 459. I have not looked to see if this is still available in any way, so I hope it is, and I hope that they are making more patterns. I wanted to buy like all the national parks that I've been to, and then I thought, you don't cross stitch that quickly. Just buy one. Don't buy another one until you finish one. It will motivate you to actually work on them. And look where we are several years later. Anyway, so you might laugh at this because I did, but I have the pattern downloaded on my phone, and I do have a PDF viewing app where you can also mark on PDFs. You can draw on them. And I use that most of the time to follow along with patterns. I either print a pattern and I physically write on the paper and I keep the pattern in the bag, or I'll download it on my phone and I'll use this app to write on the PDF, which is what I'm doing for my Cosmopolitan sweater. But for the cross stitch, I wanted to have it printed because seeing this whole thing on a tiny phone screen is just not going to happen. So I had to use 4 pieces of paper to print this. And yeah, so when I finish stitching a square, I fill it in. And I don't literally do it every square. I tend to cross stitch in rows. So when I finish that row, I come color it in. And then I can keep track of my progress. In the past, I've just used whatever colored pencil, and basically this day I'm using yellow, and anything I stitch gets colored in yellow. This is the first time that I'm actually using the color of the thread to color them in. But anyway, that should give you an idea of my progress on the pattern. It's pretty small at this point, but I'm enjoying it. And again, it uses a different set of muscles. It's a little different than knitting. I don't feel like I'm just knitting the same stuff over and over, and I can cross stitch a little bit of art to put on the wall, and it's fun. So other things that are going on in the DeHart house. Number 1, we went back to school on Monday. So I have now finished week 1 of the quarter. And yeah, it was pretty smooth. The first week is always a bit of chaos because everyone's coming back or some people are starting new, and but all in all, it was good. And I started my gardening for the year. So I sowed some seeds a week ago on Saturday. I planted a bunch of different onion varieties. I planted some kale, cabbage, broccoli. I feel like there's more that I'm not remembering, but I filled several red solo cups with seeds. And what has sprouted so far within a week, the broccoli sprouted first, which surprised me. The broccoli and the cabbage have sprouted. Just this morning, I saw the first signs of one of the onions. So I'm very happy. I'm excited to do all the gardening this year. I have had a lot of trouble growing onions. I don't know why. I can't seem to figure out the right formula of like timing, transplanting, providing nutrients. Personally, I haven't quite figured all of that out yet. I've watched a lot of videos and talked to folks about it, and it seems straightforward, but I'm definitely missing something. So I'm just going to keep trying. I cook with onions a lot, so growing them would be amazing. I'm going to plant a few more seeds today. I am still attempting to grow cotton. And again, I live in the Seattle region of Washington State, which is pretty far north. And cotton loves a warm weather. And it does get warm here in the summer. There are periods when it can get quite hot, but it doesn't have the same length of warmth as growing it in a state like Texas. So I have some challenges there, but I like to spin cotton. I like to knit and crochet with cotton, and I like to garden. So if I can figure out how to grow cotton, that would be really fun. So yeah, this will be my third or fourth year attempting that. I have yet to successfully harvest cotton from plants I have grown, but I will continue to try. So that's on the agenda for today. And I did see some signs of garlic this morning outside. So garlic gets planted in the fall time. I plant it from mid to late October is when it gets put in the ground. And sometimes, depending on when I get it in the ground and what the weather's doing outside, they will sprout before winter season even hits, and they'll be a few inches above the ground with some greenery, and they'll pretty much stay there through the winter months, and then late winter, early spring, it'll start to grow again. This year, I did not get any sprouts before the winter season, which is fine, but it does make me it makes me worry because we get so much rain. I worry about the bulbs rotting in the ground. And I was especially worrying because I did find a bulb that had risen to the surface, or maybe a squirrel had dug it up or something, but there was definitely a rotted garlic bulb sitting on top of the soil. And so I was worrying a lot that I had planted 70 something bulbs and they were probably all rotten. But I see signs of the garlic sending its sprouts up, and it makes me very happy. They are teeny tiny, like the tallest one is an inch. And so that's good. I still have cabbages and carrots out there from last year. I have some kale out there. I have some broccoli that I really need to harvest. They're getting ready to flower because the heads aren't very big, but they're starting to spread out, and then flowering doesn't happen too long after that. So I'm going to cut all of those off and cook them up and eat them with dinner. And yeah, it's the gardening is happening even in the wintertime. And it's even easier for me because here we usually don't get snow. So the ground stays soft and workable all year round for me. It doesn't freeze over. I don't have to worry about inches and inches or feet and feet of snow like I did when I lived in Michigan. So, yeah, I really enjoy it. Alrighty, that's all I have to share with you this week. So until I see you next time, I hope that you stay safe, stay healthy, and that you enjoy your crafts, whatever they may be. Bye.